I worked the front desk at a hotel in Beijing. An American guest stormed down at 2 a.m., laptop in hand, absolutely furious. "Your internet is broken. I can't get on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, nothing. I need to post my travel photos right now." I explained, "We're in China. Those sites are blocked by the Great Firewall." He stared at me like I'd just told him gravity worked differently here. That's impossible. The internet is the internet. It's the same everywhere. That's literally the point of the internet. I suggested he use a VPN. He asked what that was. I explained. He said that sounded like hacking and he wasn't a criminal. When I told him most foreigners use them here, he insisted I was trying to get him arrested. I know my rights. I'm an American citizen. The First Amendment protects my Facebook access. I didn't have the heart to tell him the First Amendment doesn't apply in China. He demanded I call the American embassy to fix our internet. At 2 a.m., for Facebook, he left a review saying our hotel violated international law by not providing basic human internet rights. A woman in Seoul couldn't access her Hulu account. Said Korean internet was clearly inferior to American internet. Another guy in Dubai tried to video call his girlfriend. Discovered WhatsApp calling was restricted. Insisted the UAE was living in the Stone Age because they blocked one feature of one app. These stories barely scratch the surface, because Americans discovering that the internet works differently outside America. That's a daily comedy show for those of us working in international hospitality and tech support. I'm an IT support specialist at an international school in Shanghai. An American teacher came to my office, absolutely convinced we were running some kind of surveillance operation. Can't access Google. Not Google Mail, not Google Docs, not even Google Search. The only explanation is that you're monitoring our activity and blocking it. I explained China blocks Google entirely, said that was propaganda, and asked who put me up to saying that. No government can block Google. They're too big. They have too many servers. It's literally impossible. I pulled up a map showing every country where Google services are blocked or restricted. He studied it for exactly 3 seconds before declaring it fake news made by the Chinese government. When I offered to help him set up a VPN, he accused me of trying to install spyware on his device. He said he'd done research and knew that VPNs were how hackers steal your identity. I asked where he'd done this research. He said Facebook. I asked him how he'd accessed Facebook in China without a VPN. He paused, then said his phone was different because it was from America. American phones have freedom built into the hardware. That's why Apple is American. He filed a complaint with the principal. Said I was perpetuating communist propaganda by claiming Google was blocked. The principal, who is British and has lived in China for 15 years, had to sit him down and explain how the internet works in China. He quit 3 months later, said he couldn't work in a country without information freedom. Before he left, he asked me if the internet would start working normally once his plane crossed into international airspace. I manage a service department building in Singapore. An American tenant called our emergency maintenance line at midnight, screaming about Netflix. Nothing is working. All my shows are gone. Everything I had in my list, gone. I asked if his internet was working. Said yes, but that wasn't the point. His Netflix library had completely changed. I explained Netflix libraries are different in each country. Singapore has different content than America. He said that made no sense because he was paying for American Netflix with his American credit card. I pay $13 a month for the American library. If I wanted Singapore Netflix, I would have signed up for Singapore Netflix. I tried to explain that's not how it works. Netflix detects your location and shows you that region's content. He insisted this was false advertising and possibly fraud. When I signed up, they didn't say this only works in America. They said watch anywhere. Anywhere means anywhere. He demanded I fix his Netflix. When I said I couldn't, he asked for the building owner's personal phone number to complain about our faulty internet routing. I suggested he use a VPN. He asked why. Singapore internet couldn't just connect normally to American servers like regular internet does. When I tried to explain geo-blocking, he cut me off. That's a Singapore problem. American companies don't block Americans. That's against our constitution. He called Netflix support. While on the phone with them, he repeatedly shouted, "I'm American," as though that was a password that would unlock the US library. Netflix explained the same thing I had, he accused them of outsourcing to foreign call centers who don't understand American accounts. He tried to file a police report about stolen digital property. The officer was very confused. I work at an expat assistance center in London. An American came in, phone in hand, on the verge of tears. My bank app doesn't work. Can't transfer money. I can't check my balance. I can't pay my bills. Everything's frozen. I asked if he'd contacted his bank. He said yes, and they told him his account was fine, but he was outside approved geographic zones. What does that even mean? London is not some third world country. It's England. They speak English. How is it outside approved zones? I explained many US banks restrict international app access for security. Said that was discriminatory against Americans traveling abroad. What if I have an emergency? If I need to send money to someone, they can't just lock me out for being in another country. When I suggested he call their international helpline, he exploded. I've been calling. I've been on hold for 45 minutes. 45 minutes because their system thinks London is suspicious. London, where the royal family lives. I asked if he'd notified his bank about international travel. Long pause. Why would I do that? I'm not asking permission to travel. I'm an American. I can go anywhere without asking my bank. I explained. Travel notifications prevent exactly this problem. Said nobody told him that. And anyway, it should be automatic. My phone knows I'm in London. My credit card knows. Google knows. Facebook knows. Why doesn't my bank know? They're all connected to the same internet. He tried using a VPN to make his phone think he was in America. It worked for about 10 minutes. Before the bank's fraud detection locked his account entirely, he had to go to the US Embassy to sort it out. Took 3 days. The whole time, he insisted British internet was interfering with American banking infrastructure, and this would never happen at home. I work web development for a Dutch company. An American consultant we hired remotely sent me an email with the subject line, "Your website is broken." The email was 17 paragraphs long. The problem? Our cookie consent pop-up. Every single time I visit the site, a huge banner blocks everything demanding I accept cookies. I click accept. Then I close the site and come back. And it asks me again. This is insane. I explained, GDPR requires explicit consent and makes it illegal to pre-select the accept all option. Users must actively choose. He said that was the most bureaucratic thing I've ever heard. Just make it default to yes. That's what normal websites do. Nobody reads that stuff anyway. I told him that's illegal in the EU and could result in massive fines. Said Europe needs to get with the program because the internet doesn't work if you have to ask permission for every little thing. When I explained users can reject cookies and the site still works, he said that was even worse. So you're telling me I have to read the options and choose every time on every website? Do Europeans have nothing better to do? He sent me a 50-slide presentation about optimizing user experience that was basically just instructions on how to violate GDPR. When I explained we could be fined up to 4% of global revenue, he said that was fear-mongering. Nobody actually enforces that. It's probably just a suggestion. I sent him articles about companies that had been fined. He skimmed one and said, those companies probably did something else wrong, and we'd be fine. Just make it like American websites. Pop-up says we use cookies. There's an OK button. You click it. Done. Why does Europe have to make everything complicated? I tried to explain this is about user privacy and control. He said Americans have privacy too, and we manage fine without making the internet unusable. He eventually stopped using our website entirely, said he'd just wait for phone calls instead of logging in because European internet is too much work. I monitor a tech support forum for British expats. An American posted a rant about BBC iPlayer. I'm trying to watch BBC News, news, free news, public news. And it won't let me because I'm not in the UK. News should be global. Multiple people explain BBC iPlayer is funded by UK TV licenses and is only available in the UK. He said that was gatekeeping information. The BBC is supposed to be for everyone. It's not Netflix. It's not a subscription service. It's news. Public news. How can you region lock public broadcasting? Someone pointed out PBS in America doesn't stream internationally either, said. That was completely different because PBS is local while BBC is international. The BBC reports on American politics all the time. If they're reporting on America, Americans should be able to watch it. When people suggested BBC News website, which isn't geo-blocked, he said he wanted to watch video, not read. Someone suggested a VPN. He said he shouldn't have to use workarounds for basic news access. This is a human rights issue. Information shouldn't be locked by borders. That's what authoritarian countries do. Multiple Brits tried to explain TV licensing and public broadcasting funding models. He responded to each one with variations of, "That's a British problem, not a me problem. Figure out your funding. Don't punish international viewers because your system is outdated. Tried to access it anyway using a VPN, made it work. Then came back to the forum to complain that the VPN slowed down his connection. So now I have to use janky workarounds and deal with buffering. The BBC needs to enter the 21st century." Someone asked why he didn't just watch CNN or American news. He said BBC coverage was better. When they pointed out that's exactly why it's worth protecting as a UK service, he stopped responding. I work hotel concierge in Dubai. An American businessman tried to video call his family using WhatsApp. Didn't work. Came to the desk absolutely baffled. Your internet is blocking my calls. Video calls. Personal calls. That's got to be illegal. I explained UAE restricts VIP services unless they're licensed. WhatsApp video calls don't work, but regular WhatsApp messaging does. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What's the difference? It's the same app. I told him voice and video calling protocols are different from messaging and are regulated differently here. He said that was technologically illiterate. They're all just data. Video, voice, text, it's all data. You can't pick and choose what kind of data works. That's not how the internet works. I suggested he use FaceTime. He said he had an Android. I suggested Skype, which is licensed here. He said his family doesn't use Skype. Why should I download a different app because Dubai doesn't understand how WhatsApp works? When I explained telecommunications regulations, he asked if Dubai was afraid of WhatsApp. Is this a security thing? Are they monitoring calls? Because I'm just talking to my wife and kids. We're not terrorists. I assured him it's about telecommunications licensing, not surveillance. He said it was suspicious regardless. Countries that control communications have something to hide. That's authoritarian 101. He tried using a VPN. It worked. Then he came back down to tell me our Wi-Fi was slower than it should be because VPNs shouldn't be necessary for normal phone calls. He left a review warning Americans that Dubai restricts basic communication and you can't video call freely. The review spent 3 paragraphs explaining how to set up a VPN, which technically violates UAE regulations about circumventing licensed services. He ended the review with, "Great hotel. Terrible country for technology. Work IT support for a study abroad program in Buenos Aires. An American student had a complete meltdown over Spotify. All my playlists are broken. Half my songs are grayed out. I can't play them. Everything I've spent years curating is just gone." I checked. Her Spotify account was fine, but she was trying to play songs that aren't licensed in Argentina. What do you mean not licensed? They're on Spotify. I can see them. If they weren't licensed, they wouldn't show up. I explained music licensing is regional. Artists and labels negotiate rights country by country. She said that was false advertising. Spotify says listen to millions of songs. They don't say listen to millions of songs unless you leave America. So then good luck. She showed me her playlist. About 60% of it was grayed out. She'd made it over 4 years. Road trips, breakups, workout mixes, everything. This is my music. These are my memories. And Argentina just took them away because of some licensing thing I have nothing to do with. I suggested she explore Argentine music. She said she didn't want to explore. She wanted her playlists. When I explained this happens in every country, she asked how people survive without their music. Do Europeans just listen to whatever's available? How do they cope? I told her most people discover new music or use VPNs, she said, using VPNs. 4. Spotify seemed extreme and she'd just wait until I'm back in America to enjoy music again. Ain't she? TRIED, filing a complaint with Spotify. They explained regional licensing. She responded by asking if they could make an exception for students because this was interfering with her education. I study better with my playlists. This is affecting my academic performance. Spotify support politely declined. She posted on social media about how studying abroad means losing access to basic things like music, and warned people to think twice before leaving America. I run an expat Facebook group for Americans in Tokyo. Someone posted asking why their Hulu wasn't working. This started a 60-comment thread. Original post: anyone else having Hulu problems? Mine just says not available in this location. My subscription is still active and charging my card. First response explained Hulu doesn't work outside the US. Original poster said that made no sense. I'm paying for it. My credit card is American. My account is American. The shows are American. Why does my location matter? Someone explained streaming rights are licensed by country. Original poster: that's a Hulu problem. They should have international rights if they're going to charge international customers. Another person: you're not an international customer. You're an American customer who moved. Original poster: exactly. So my account should follow me. The thread devolved into arguments about whether streaming services should work globally if you pay with an American credit card. The original poster insisted this was basic portability. If I'd buy a DVD in America and bring it to Japan, it still works. Digital should be the same. Multiple people explained DVDs have region coding too. Original poster: that's outdated. We're talking about streaming, cloud-based. It's not a physical disc. Someone suggested a VPN. Original poster said they'd tried, but it was laggy and unreliable. Shouldn't need workarounds. I'm literally paying monthly. Hulu should just work. When people pointed out Japanese streaming services work fine in Japan, the original poster said that wasn't the point. I don't want Japanese services. I want to watch my shows that I was in the middle of. I had 3 episodes left of a series. Now I can't finish it. Someone found the series on Japanese Netflix. Original poster: why should I pay for both? I already have Hulu. The thread ended with the original poster canceling Hulu and writing an angry email to their support team about discrimination against Americans living abroad. I work customer service for an American telecommunications company with international clients. A businessman called from Germany, furious about YouTube TV. I'm trying to watch the game. I pay for YouTube TV specifically for sports, and now it says I'm outside my home area and can't stream. This is breach of contract, I explained. YouTube TV only works in the US due to broadcasting rights. He said he was only in Germany for 2 weeks. Nice. 2 weeks. I'm not moving here. I'm on a business trip. They can't cut off my service for a 2-week trip. I told him it's automatic based on device location. He asked why his phone's GPS mattered. It's streaming, internet-based. Right. The cloud is everywhere. Geography is irrelevant. When I explained broadcasting rights are tied to physical territories, he said that was pre-internet thinking. We don't live in the days of TV towers anymore. This is digital. Digital doesn't have borders. I suggested he watch through a VPN. He said he'd tried, but YouTube detected it and blocked him anyway. So they're actively preventing me from using a service I'm paying for. That's gotta be illegal. I explained it's in the terms of service. He said nobody reads those, and they shouldn't include things that violate basic consumer rights. I'm paying. I'm a customer. Customers should be able to use what they pay for. This is capitalism 101. When I mentioned he could pause his subscription while traveling, he said that wasn't the point. The point is it should work everywhere. YouTube is global. TV should be global. We have the technology. He asked if I could file a complaint on his behalf about geographic discrimination. I told him I couldn't. He asked for my supervisor. My supervisor told him the same thing. He ended up missing the game. Sent me an email afterward saying American streaming services need to catch up with European standards where content is more portable. Didn't mention that. European streaming services have the exact same geographic restrictions. Last month, a guest at our Beijing hotel found a workaround for the Great Firewall. Not a VPN, not a proxy. He'd somehow configured his laptop to root through his company's US server using some kind of remote desktop protocol. He was extremely proud. Gave me a 20-minute explanation of how he'd beaten Chinese internet. It worked for 3 days. Then his company's IT department contacted him. They'd noticed unusual traffic from his device. Routing personal internet through company infrastructure violated their security policy. They shut down his access remotely. He came to the desk asking if we had better internet. It wouldn't be blocked by his own company. When I said his company blocked him, not us, he insisted it was related to Chinese internet restrictions. If China didn't block everything, I wouldn't need to route through my company. So technically, this is still China's fault. He spent the rest of his trip unable to access Facebook, Instagram, or his work servers. Left a review saying Beijing has the most complicated internet situation in the world, and recommended future visitors bring physical books for entertainment. You see this constantly.